Hello everybody and welcome back to Med by Meg, the podcast where we make applications to medicine easy from someone who's just been there. I'm Meg and I'm in a grey mood today because we finally had some sunshine down here. After an hour or two of study, I got some time outside to sit and finish my first book of April, The #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith, which I really enjoyed. Anyway, today we are going to talk about the HPAT, the Health Professions Admissions Test, an exam required for undergraduate admission to medicine in the Republic of Ireland. We'll cover the structure, sections, timing and delivery of the exam, and in future episodes we'll go into all these topics in greater detail, as well as talking timelines and important tips for study. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, the HPAT, or Health Professions Admission Test, is a 2.5-hour multiple choice exam made up of 114 questions. It comprises 3 sections: logical reasoning and problem solving, interpersonal understanding, and non-verbal reasoning. There is a 4th section, written English, which is required for the Masters in Occupational Therapy and the Masters in Speech and Language Therapy at the University of Limerick, but this is not relevant to medical applicants. You don't have to take this section, so we won't be talking about it today. In 2024, the HPAT was conducted between the 16th and the 24th of February and taken completely via online proctoring, so no travel is required. A key challenge is that no calculator is allowed, despite quite a difficult maths question. If you're familiar with the UCAT, the HPAT isn't too different in that it's an exam that requires logical reasoning and critical thinking. However, there are some key differences in the difficulty of the material and the time pressures of the 2 exams, which I will go into more detail in a future episode. The score you achieve in the HPAT will translate into a certain number of points, which will be added to your leaving certificate or equivalent school leaver exams in order to give you a final score of points. Last year, the lowest points to gain entry to medicine was 729 in Galway, and the highest was 741 in Trinity College Dublin. Now, let's talk a little bit about the sections. Section 1, Logical Reasoning and Problem Solving, is made up of 42 questions, which you are given 60 minutes to complete, allowing roughly 86 seconds per question. It asks you to sort through large amounts of complex information and make equivalences. It requires you to interpret data from graphs and reports of studies, and make mathematical calculations, and it also asks you to draw logical conclusions from texts, relying only on the evidence given. Its UCAT equivalents would be decision making, verbal reasoning, and quantitative reasoning. Section 2, Understanding People, is made up of 42 questions, but gives only 50 minutes to complete them, allowing roughly 72 seconds per question. This section asks you to identify emotions and give reasoning for people's behaviours and actions. You will need to read through long passages and critically assess what people say, do and feel. This section is equivalent to the situational judgment section of the UCAT. Section 3, Non-verbal Reasoning, is made up of 30 questions, which you have 40 minutes to complete, giving roughly 80 seconds per question. You'll be presented with visual puzzles, often made up of different shapes and colours. There are 3 question types in this section: pick the middle, next in the sequence, and missing segment. All these question types assess your spatial awareness and pattern recognition, and your ability to interpret large volumes of material, triaging and disregarding red herrings. A good strategy is very important in this section. This section is equivalent to the UCAT abstract reasoning section. I took the HPAT in 2023 and scored in the 77th percentile. I found this exam a lot more challenging than the UCAT, especially considering it took place right after my mocks and all my UK interviews, so it's at a stage in the year where you're tired and also very busy. The most challenging part of prep for me was definitely section 3. I find those visual problems really difficult, and it took a lot of practice and strategising to start improving my grade in that section. Before we finish up today, I'd like to briefly outline some key aspects of HPAT prep, which we'll break down in more detail in future episodes. The first important thing to mention is that the HPAT requires stamina. It is a long exam, which requires the utmost concentration throughout. For that reason, I really recommend getting used to sitting mocks as early as possible and building up your test endurance. Secondly, as there is no calculator involved, it's important to get confident and fast at completing calculations, including things such as long division and multiplication, which you might not have done without a calculator since primary school. Like the UCAT, the exam requires excellent time management in order to succeed. This doesn't come without becoming very familiar with the exam, lots of practice, and a robust triage system which you can use to see if a question is doable within your time constraints. There's a lot more to HPAT than this, but I hope from this episode you've gained a good understanding of the basics of the HPAT and you're excited to get more in depth into the unique challenges of this exam. Thanks so much for listening today. If you like this episode, please consider a like, comment or follow, as it really helps me out, and please share with your friends. that's all for now. I hope that you have a lovely day, and I see you back here again soon. Bye!